Okay, guys, we're back again. So we're gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna try to add Scott on. For some reason, he's not seeing my invitation when I add him. So I'm not quite sure how to get him to come on. We're trying really hard, and I've been having a little bit of trouble with this technology. And I've tried to even use a couple different apps, and it seems to just kind of give me trouble. So hopefully when Scott comes on, I can bring him into the group so that you guys can hear from him, because he's got so many great things to talk to you about today. So hopefully he can come on soon. Bummer. I hope this works. I don't have any viewers yet, so there, we're gonna add him. Let's see. It's gonna work. He's coming on. Let's see if we can get him here. There, it's connecting. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. There's a little bit of a lag, so hopefully we can make this work. I'm so glad you're here, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. And I was telling the audience earlier, we had originally had Sharon Ottness coming on today on our episode 4 of my Thrive Live show. However, Sharon had an emergency in her family and she had to reschedule. And I thought, well, wow, what a great opportunity for us to talk about Idaho Gives, which is today, and have you come on and share a little bit about the Phoenix. And most of my audience knows that, 5% of my profits are going to the Phoenix now, which I'm super excited about. But I wanted you to maybe just share a little bit about what the Phoenix is and what Idaho Gives is and how it can really help local charities.
Excellent. Yeah, and thank you so much for your generosity with the Phoenix. We truly appreciate it. And what you are doing is really allowing a lot of folks to be able to, be a part of the programming that we do here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for doing it.
So the Phoenix is a free, sober, active community, and we are a nonprofit in Boise. We do everything from yoga to mountain biking, from strength training to backpacking, and all of those things in between. Occasionally even an art night. So we do different things. Like a week ago, we went to the Boise Philharmonic. So, we changed it up a little bit just to make it new and exciting. So,
awesome.
And I think I missed that we go skiing, and we've been up to Sun Valley and all sorts of things. So all we require for people to participate is 48 hours of continuous sobriety or more. And again, I think the most important piece of that is that it's free. So this allows folks to find a community where they can get support. It's really like an organic situation where people are working out together, and you know how this works. People are working out together and they build those relationships, and those relationships help carry them through challenging times. And they know that they can call that friend that they were doing burpees with and and say, hey, can we go have coffee or whatever that is, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And Scott, thank you for talking about the organization, and it is a nationwide organization. So can you talk a little bit about the growth and what the Phoenix is doing right now nationally?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's very exciting. So when I joined the Phoenix as a staff person about 18 months ago, we had maybe 6 locations across the country. And just the other day I saw a report. We're in 20 states now. And we have over 42 locations that we're providing programming. Not all of them are like this wonderful facility that we have in Boise, but sometimes there's shared spaces where maybe a CrossFit gym or a yoga studio is providing a couple of opportunities during the week to provide the programming, but still that reach is growing. And as we look to the future, we certainly feel and see the need in communities across the United States and even in Idaho, I did a presentation in Pocatello just a few weeks ago, and they're working on finding ways to bring what we do there. So, we see that expansion across the country and in Idaho. And like this weekend, there are literally hundreds of folks from across the United States going to Moab for a Phoenix gathering where we're doing mountain biking and climbing and yoga and again, building that community and those relationships that are so important in the recovery journey.
Yeah, Jason's there. My husband's there right now. He actually messaged me right before we hopped on, Scott, and he said, I'm here, I'm in Moab. And so he, this is his second year going to the Moab trip. And he really looks forward to it every year. And it's a great way to connect and just support each other. And I love that he goes. So that's a great, great trip you guys do. I'll go one year when I can get away from the kids.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, but I also, thank you for sharing that about the growth and the projections. But what I really wanted to also ask you about is kind of connecting the dots for people that are watching and thinking, well, Jen is really passionate right now about what happened in her life and helping and giving back, because my daughter's father did have an addiction and he did suffer most of his life from it. And he ended up losing the battle and he took his own life. And so suicide is a very, it's an epidemic right now. And I would love for you to speak a little bit about the connection between addiction rates and suicide rates and the opioid epidemic a little bit. If you don't mind touching on that from your expertise and your knowledge base, I would love for you to share that with the audience.
Certainly. And, that can be a heavy conversation and can be sensitive for many of us. But the reality of it is that we do have an opioid crisis in Idaho and across the United States. I think I saw recently some statistics for just our chapter that about 38% of our participants have said that opioids were a significant part of their substance use. And then, there's also just a lot of co-occurrence between substance use disorder and mental health issues. And, all of those things can, send us to, individually send us to a place where we might be thinking of suicide. And unfortunately, I know even the best man at my wedding, that was the path that he took. So it can touch all of our lives in so many different ways. And, it's important that we find pathways to overcome that. And again, it's just that community. If we have somebody and maybe they're struggling with their substance use disorder and but they know that there's somebody out there that can offer them a ray of hope and can touch their life. And it can be a simple thing, like I suggested earlier, like, hey, can you meet me for a cup of coffee? I saw how you were doing that burpee earlier, and or maybe you were doing the Warrior 3 really well and it caught my attention, but I need to talk to you. Can we go for a walk? So that, again, that community is really the critical aspect, and that pro-social atmosphere that we can create where people see that there's hope, there's potential, and those are just great ways that we can reduce suicide rates. And it's, Idaho actually, unfortunately, has one of the highest suicide rates in the country. So I know here there are so many great organizations and things that we can do to support. I know the Speedy Foundation, for example, is very active in that community, and I've had the opportunity to work with them. They provided a mental health first aid training in Idaho. So myself and another volunteer have gone through that training, and so we're hoping to be able to provide that to our community, not just the Phoenix team members, but through our community, so that we can, in a crisis, it's just like if somebody collapses and they're having a heart attack, there are so many of us that know CPR, right? But do we all know what to do in a mental health crisis?
No. Yeah. And that's
So
such great.
if we can,
That's so great that you're so proactive in that, and that you're bridging the gaps in all these different areas, so that the Phoenix can be such a great source of support to offer not only community, but I think with community comes hope. And like you said, I think that's the biggest thing for people, is that there's got to be hope. And I think the Phoenix does a beautiful job of that, Scott. And I'm honored to be a small part of it in some way. But I really want our audience today to understand the importance of this exact day, because I brought you on here and I thought it was just perfect timing. I mean, the universe never makes mistakes, right? But I thought about Idaho Gives is today. And so tell me a little bit about what you know about Idaho Gives, and how, if people do decide that this is something they want to do and donate to the Phoenix or another organization, how that can really impact the nonprofit.
yeah, so the Idaho Gives Day is really a cool statewide activity. And there is a website, idahogives.org, that you can go to, and it pops up with the first screen is gives you the option to either search by the exact name of the nonprofit. So for example, you could plug in the Phoenix, or you can search by category. So maybe you're looking for a specific type of nonprofit, and so it allows you that opportunity. So then you plug that in and it pulls up your options. Then all you have to do is click the link, and they make it super easy to provide donations to support all of the nonprofits throughout our communities all across the state. Wow. In last year for our organization, we actually raised about 10% of our annual budget or so. So you can imagine the impact that this one particular day made on all of those lives throughout the last year. It provided a space for community to be built, and for people to be healthy, and to recognize their potential and build their self-confidence and their self-esteem and have courage. Sometimes if you've never done a physical activity, it takes courage to try something new.
Yes, it does. It does.
So Idaho Gives Day, really, it can impact every community in Idaho, and many nonprofits really do put a lot of effort in the background to make it a successful day, so that we can continue providing those resources that we do.
And Scott, I just have to acknowledge you for a moment before, and I will post that link. Please understand, I will post it in this chat. But I want to acknowledge you for a moment, because it was really interesting when I asked you to participate. I had no idea you could say yes today, because I assumed that you would be having a great time in Moab with your mountain bike and all your friends and your community, and being there, right? And it was a really beautiful thing you said to me, and you said that, I could have gone, but I chose to stay so that I could really make sure that I give 100% effort into making sure this day goes well for the Phoenix. And I just thought that was so beautiful of you it's such a fun event. I know you look forward to it all year. And so thank you for just taking a stand and being such a powerful leader for the Phoenix and the community, and selflessly showing up and giving that. That's really beautiful and appreciated. And it chokes me up, because people like you are what really to make a difference in our community. And so thank you for doing that today. I appreciate it. And I know that a lot of people do. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So one other thing I wanted to maybe talk and ask you about that I'm not very clear on, and I'd love clarification, is, so talk to me about Idaho Gives Match. So what does that mean? And what does that work like? How does that go, Scott?
So there are a couple of different things that are happening today with Idaho Gives and with the Phoenix specifically. Okay. So the Phoenix specifically, we have a donor who has stepped up and said, you know what, I'm going to match up to $10,000 in donations for the day. So every dollar that comes in through the day, $1 makes it two. So that's just awesome, and we love that, and we appreciate that.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's great.
And then the other piece of that is that Idaho Gives, as an organization, fundraises throughout the year to find ways, and works with organizations and groups to find ways to kind of gamify, so to say, Idaho Gives. So throughout the day today, there are opportunities that organizations can get extra, $500 here, $1,000 there, and it all kind of depends on, it's by chance to some degree, but it depends on the effort that we put into make Idaho Gives Day a success. And in some cases, it's a simple thing like a donor will say, during this period of time, I'm going to double every donation that comes in across the board up to whatever that amount is. So.
Wow. So fun. That's great. What a great organization. And I love that, you're working so hard to get the word out about the Phoenix. So again, thank you, Scott. And what I would like to ask our audience today is I'm going to pop the link here to Idaho Gives. And if you feel so called, that this speaks to you in some way, whether it be you had past experience with addiction, whether there's a loved one in your life that suffers with addiction or even mental health issues, and possibly even suicide. I ask you that maybe you take today and you just say, do I have $5 to maybe put towards the Phoenix on Idaho Gives so that they can create that $10,000 match and create $20,000 for the organization here in Boise. I know that you all know how important it is to me, and I'm sure that you've experienced something or someone in your life has been touched by it. So I ask you today to just please take out that $5 bill and put it to a good cause. Donate your Starbucks coffee today. It all makes a difference. It all truly makes a difference. If we all could give just a little, we would change tons of lives. So that's my ask of you today. I have pledged 5% of my profits to the Phoenix on a quarterly basis, but I tried to put that for today. So I mailed a check last week, and Scott and I talked about I wanted it to go on this day so that we could hopefully get that match up to that $10,000 amount. So there's my ask of you, community. And Scott, again, I just want to thank you for being here and for showing up so strongly and as such a leader in our community. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And your donation is matched. So thank you so much for that too.
That's great news. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy. So great. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will put the link here to Idaho Gives. I'll also put the link here to the Phoenix so that you guys can check out the community. And if you don't have funds, if for some reason you're like, I really don't have an extra $5, I understand that too. But you know what? There's always an opportunity to give time. We all have time, and we can all carve out time. So you can always contact Scott if you're thinking that this might be something you're called to and that you want to get involved with. And he can definitely put you in the right direction and help you through that as well. So, sound good, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again for being here, and thanks for taking time with us today.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.